Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today we're going to be breaking down 4 wide receivers, big name receivers, that have been linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers in trade rumors in recent days, all right? Like, obviously, after missing out on Brandon Ayuk, after missing out on Diontae Adams, every big name receiver is going to be linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So today we're going to talk about 4 of them. I'm going to break down their profiles, what I think that their trade value is, and whether I think they're good fits for the Pittsburgh Steelers here. So make sure you guys stay tuned here for a Cooper Kupp trade rumor. All right, very interesting stuff here from NFL.com linking Cooper Kupp to a potential trade target. Okay, now, before we get into Cooper Kupp later in today's show, let's talk about Mike Williams, because this is kind of the pressing issue. I think if the Steelers end up making a trade quickly and not really closer to the trade deadline, I think that they could potentially land Mike Williams within the next 7 days or so. Diana Rossini reported this morning. The Chargers, Steelers, and Saints are among a number of teams reaching out to the Jets about wide receiver Mike Williams, per sources. So I said a while ago that if the Jets landed Davante Adams, I think that Mike Williams would be made available. It certainly seems like that has been the case. And I also said that the Steelers would probably be interested in him because they were very interested in him in free agency this year before he signed with the Jets. And honestly, man, right now, he's not super expensive, either in terms of salary and cap hit, but also he's not going to be that expensive in terms of cost for a trade. Now, when it comes to Mike Williams here, he's a big body, deep threat. He's somebody that gets down the field. He's kind of a go ball, a post route, a slant, and a comeback specialist, and he really only runs those 4 routes effectively. He's not going to run the full route tree. He's going to be a true X receiver, which could potentially help George Pickens move around the formation and not have to play X every single play. But also Pittsburgh, like I said, was heavily interested in this guy in free agency, and I think with the trade price and also the cap hit for trading him wouldn't be that high. So I think the Steelers are probably going to be very, very interested in potentially getting a deal done for Mike Williams. And, Mike isn't my favorite choice, if I'm being honest with you, man. I would much rather pay a little bit of a higher price to go out and get a guy like DeAndre Hopkins from the Tennessee Titans, for example, who does many of the same things Mike does, only better. Plus, he's a little bit more versatile of a route runner. DeAndre doesn't have quite as much of an injury concern as Williams does because he can't stay healthy. So even though both of these guys, on expiring contracts, older veterans, I think DeAndre Hopkins gives you a little bit more upside than Mike Williams does at this point. Plus the film for Williams, these first few weeks in New York have been really, really poor in my opinion. However, I do think that, his skill set fits with what the Pittsburgh Steelers want to do offensively. They kind of need a little bit more size in the wide receiver room. Mike Williams would certainly bring that. He's a reliable hands catcher, good red zone threat, all these different things. So I do think the Steelers are going to be interested here. And if they can land him for like a 7th round pick or some sort of pick swap here, late day pick swap, I do think Omar Khan and the Steelers are going to be a team that's very, very aggressive in trying to land him, because he was their original plan in free agency this year to be their number 2 receiver for this season. Now, this is the most that I would offer if I were GM Omar Khan. Just based on what Mike Williams has done this season, his skill set, all these different things, I would do a Mike Williams trade for a 6th round pick, a conditional 6th round pick, a pick swap here. You would send a conditional 6, so he has to meet certain thresholds for it to be a 6th round pick. If he doesn't meet those thresholds, it becomes a 7th round pick, and then the Jets send a 7th round pick back to the Pittsburgh Steelers in this deal. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Would you accept this deal to add Mike Williams to the Steelers wide receiver core next week? Type A for accept or type D for decline. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by letting me know if you're accepting this trade. So now let's talk about Adam Thielen here, somebody we have talked about on the show before, but now multiple outlets are now connecting Adam Thielen as a potential trade target for the Pittsburgh Steelers before the deadline this year. Now, CBS Sports had this trade idea for the Steelers, sending a 5th round pick in exchange for Adam Thielen's services. And this is what Cody Benjamin, the article author here, had to say about this trade idea. The Steelers have been sniffing around blockbuster wideouts this year, from Davante Adams to Brandon Ayuk, but there are an abundance of lower tier alternatives who could be available. Thielen is one, coming off an injury at 34 for the Panthers' stuck-in-the-mud rebuild. He's got a much lower ceiling than a playmaker like Davante Adams, but when healthy, he remained one of the NFL's most sure-handed possession targets, making him a logical partner for the more explosive George Pickens in Pittsburgh's otherwise old-school attack. And then also from CBS, Aditi Kinkembwala had this to say about how much she likes Adam Thielen to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love Adam Thielen. I love him. He's like Amari Cooper. I kind of disagree with that, but okay. He is a consummate pro. He's the guy that is not a diva in any way. He's going to do every single thing he possibly can to help the effort. Now, coming up here on Steelers Talk, my thoughts on Adam Thielen and why I think he's probably not my favorite wide receiver target for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But before I get into it here, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And guys, we all know that experiencing a sporting event, especially a football game, whether it be a college football game, like watching to go see the Pitt Panthers play, they're undefeated right now, or going to see the Pittsburgh Steelers at Acrisure Stadium with those terrible towels flying in the air, watching a football game live is unlike anything you can get from watching the game on your couch. If you want to see the Steelers, maybe the Pitt Panthers or other teams or other events live more often, you guys can download the Game Time app today and use their brand new feature, Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Just download the Game Time app, find an event you want to go see, select the Game Time Picks button, and it automatically filters through their entire database of tickets for that event to find you the best deals at the best prices for you and your family. It's a huge time saver. And what I love about the Game Time app, guys, is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event. So every ticket that you see on their platform, it has a guaranteed low price on it. You also get all-in transparent pricing right on the app, so you don't get slapped with a crazy fee at checkout. And then you also get flash deals, so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to game time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. It's just for that first purchase, guys. But again, create an account on the free Game Time app and redeem code CHATSPORTS. That's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So we take a look at Adam Thielen's profile here, guys. He's 34 years old, so he's definitely getting up there in age, but he does have good size, 6'2", 295 pounds. He does have 2 years left on his current deal, so if the Steelers end up trading for him, they will be on the hook for his contract heading into next season as well. And, I do think that the Panthers will be sellers at the trade deadline this year. Now, it is worth mentioning that Thielen has been dealing with a hamstring injury that has kept him out since week 3. Now, he is expected to be back sometime around week 10 or so when the Steelers are slated to be back from their bye. So if the Steelers end up trading for him, it wouldn't be till very close to the deadline. But he should be healthy enough by the time the deadline comes around for the Steelers to potentially consider him. And personally, guys, I think that what I would offer for him is like a 6th-round pick. He is somebody that's a good possession-type receiver. He's a bigger guy that has a lot of experience in run-heavy offenses that require their receivers to run, like the Pittsburgh Steelers do right now, for example. So you look at Adam Thielen, he's definitely lost a bit of juice. He was never the best athlete in the world. He's been always more of like a bigger slot, route runner technician, trustworthy hands receiver. And that's what he is now, maybe to just a slightly lesser degree than what he was with the Minnesota Vikings all those years back. But I would personally maybe offer a 6th or a 7th-round pick for Thielen and nothing more because he is aging and he's not a long-term answer whatsoever if the Steelers land him. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you want the Steelers and if you want Omar Khan to get on the phones and make a damn trade, man, I know I am in this camp right here. Let's make something happen here, Omar. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you want to see a new receiver on this football team before the NFL trade deadline this year. Speaking of Carolina Panther trade targets here, Bleacher Report has suggested that the Pittsburgh Steelers should consider bringing back Diontae Johnson after trading him away this offseason. This is what Christopher Knox, the article's author here, had to say about DJ potentially coming back to the black and gold. Carolina might have to entertain the idea of moving Johnson. The Steelers might want to try reacquiring Johnson, whom they traded to Carolina for cornerback Diontae Jackson back in the offseason. And let me just say this right now, guys. There is no way the Pittsburgh Steelers end up trading for Diontae Johnson, man. Now, from a football perspective, it kind of makes sense, right? He is that true Z receiver, great route runner. He could really fit into what the Steelers are trying to do here. But the problem is the Steelers traded him for reasons outside of his play on the field, all right? They thought that he was a bad influence on the rest of the locker room, especially young receiver George Pickens, and they wanted him out because they thought that, he was kind of more of a me guy than a we guy, and Mike Tomlin doesn't really like those types of personalities in his locker room, so it has a lot more to do than just football. And honestly, I'm not even sure if Diontae would want to come back to Pittsburgh after the way things ended here in the Steel City. Now we shift to the final trade rumor of the day, and this one might sound crazy. It sounded a little crazy to me when I saw it, but NFL.com's Tom Blair says that the Rams could think about trading wide receiver Cooper Kupp before the deadline this year. The Rams are currently sitting at 1-4. They might be looking to sell at the deadline if things continue to spiral downwards for them with Puka Nacua on IR right now. It's what Tom had to say in his article. NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero recently mused about the possibility of Kupp being dealt if the 1-4 Rams continue to scuffle, and that would make sense to me. Still just 31, the 2021 Offensive Player of the Year can add some veteran savvy and playoff experience to a contender. Wherever the Rams decide to take their roster going forward, they can at least continue to build around Nacua, talking about Puka Nacua, with rookie Jordan Whittington offering an encouraging spark so far this season. Now, the thing about Cooper Kupp here, man, is I do think that he would be an excellent get for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know he's 31 years old, but he's still a very good player when he's out there on the field and healthy, and he's also a perfect fit for Arthur Smith's offense if they can land him. Great run blocker, maybe the best run-blocking receiver in football today, and then the route running speaks for itself. He's super versatile. He can line him up outside, in the slot, even in the backfield. But the thing is here, guys, he has 3 years left on his deal, including this year. And because of that, I think the Rams are going to want an astronomical price for him. And I just don't think he ends up getting dealt. I don't think that the Rams are going to want to let him go. He has such a good connection with their quarterback, Matthew Stafford, who I don't think they're going to want to move off of. And Cooper Kupp is still young enough here where they want to start winning with Matthew Stafford, where they're going to keep Kupp around as long as they're keeping Matthew Stafford around. Now, who knows? Maybe they decide, okay, we're going to unload these pieces and really embrace a full rebuild with a new quarterback in the future. But if that's not going to be the case, and I don't think Sean McVay is going to do that, I don't really see Cooper Kupp getting dealt. But listen, man, I'm willing to give up a second-round draft pick for him. I still think he's relatively young enough. He brings a ton of playoff and even Super Bowl experience, man. This guy's caught a game-winning touchdown catch in a Super Bowl, all right? This guy brings a ton of great experience. He's a perfect fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would give up a second-round pick and probably more than a second, if I'm being completely honest with you, in order to land Cooper Kupp. The only thing is, the first-round pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers, at least right now in my opinion, is completely off the table. So now before I go here, some bad injury news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Zach Frazier, the injured center here, was considered week to week. We learned last week he did not play in last week's matchup, or he got hurt in last week's matchup, I should say. He's expected to miss the next 2 weeks. So he's expected to miss this game against the Jets, and now he's expected to miss the New York Giants game as well. So that's not great news if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Ryan McCollum, goodness gracious, man, I hope you come ready to play here on Sunday Night Football. Show some love to Zach Frazier down there in the comments section. Wish him a full and speedy recovery by spamming those 54s down there in the comments section. It's good news that Frazier isn't going to be missed for the entirety of the rest of the season like it is for Fautanu and others on this offensive line. So if you guys want to send some well wishes here and send some love to Frazier, make sure you get those 54s down there in the comments. That's going to be it for today's edition of Trade Rumors here from Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you have any ideas pertaining to potential trade targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers, let me know down there in the comments section. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.